This is John Force, 16-time funny car champion.
Hey guys, it's Justin Ashley, driver of the Phillips Connect Toyota Top Fuel Dragster.
Hi, I'm Robert Knight, 3-time funny car champion.
I'm Kyle Koretsky, driver of the Lucas Oil Chevy Camaro.
I'm Dallas Glenn, driver of the Radford Systems Pro Stock Camaro.
And you're watching Inside the NHRA.
And you're tuned in to Inside the NHRA.
You're watching Inside the NHRA. I tell you what, this is Anton Brown, 3-time NHRA Top Fuel World Champion. And stay tuned in to Inside the NHRA.
If you want to be entertained, this is the show, and Darren is the guy to do it.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, and drag racing fans across the world to this special edition of Inside the NHRA here on American Hot Rod Entertainment and streaming live on Competition Plus YouTube and Facebook channels. And for the first time this year, second time this year, the Dave W YouTube channel. As always, I'm your host, Darren Williams Jr., and joining me, the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Dave W himself. How's it going, Dave?
It's going well. Just avoiding the storms here in Southeast Michigan, man. It was pretty questionable for a while, but thankfully the power's back on, and here we go to do the show.
I'll tell you what, I feel like rain has plagued everybody so far this year. You talk about the NHRA. Gainesville was plagued with rain for a little bit. Charlotte was. Epping was, of course. Bristol was. And now Norwalk. I feel like this is the third straight race in a row where they moved the start time of eliminations up to 10 a.m. It's just been crazy.
Yeah, move the start time up and tried to get all the sportsman eliminations done on Saturday to get everybody done and out of the facility so they didn't have to go out in the bad weather. But thankfully, other than a slight, very, very slight delay during second round of funny car, no real storms materialized. I think that they got lucky, but hey, you know what? They still started an hour early, got the show done, and it was a great show for the fans.
Hey, and that's why we're here early, because they got done early, so we got to start early. It was about,
right.
7 o'clock Eastern time, 4 o'clock Pacific. We usually start at 6 o'clock Pacific, 9 o'clock Eastern time, but we're here early to break down, everybody, the 2023 Summit Racing Equipment NHRA Nationals from America's Racetrack, Summit Motorsports Park in Norwalk, Ohio. And Dave, what a race it was, because all of our winners here today in the Camping World Series got their first wins of the season. How about that?
And their last wins, ironically, came on your part of the country.
In Denver.
Well, Denver for 2 of them, and Sonoma and Las Vegas for the other 2.
Yeah.
All the West Coast wins, that was their last time they won, was out on your coast.
Mm-hmm. And what's cool, too, is that for Blake Alexander, he got his first win ever in his career, which was in Top Fuel. It's the same place where he got his first career funny car win here today. So I think that's pretty awesome. Kind of a little coinciding with his first funny car win and Top Fuel win. And we're going to break it all down here today in just a little bit. So thank you guys all for tuning into this special edition of Inside the NHRA. Like I said, streaming live on American Hot Rod Entertainment YouTube and Facebook, and Competition Plus YouTube and Facebook, and Dave W's YouTube channel. If you guys would like, no pressure, but if you want to support the channel, throw a comment down in the comments right here in the live chat. Give a super chat, $1, $5, whatever you want to give. Anything is appreciated. So before we jump into it, Dave, some sad news came out of this past weekend as well. Joe Maynard, Kathy Maynard, and the whole Maynard family racing team, they've done a lot for NHRA within the past couple seasons. Really have done a lot, have brung on teams like Justin Ashley, Tim Wilkerson, Tony Schumacher. Well, it was announced, I believe, Saturday, correct me if I'm wrong, but Kathy Maynard passed. I'm not sure what she passed from, but just still sad as far as for the whole NHRA community, and condolences to the Maynard family.
Yeah, definitely condolences to the Maynard family. I believe I had heard that she had a long-term illness that she was battling, and unfortunately succumbed to it. And one of her life goals before she had passed was to own and be a part of the NHRA, own a Top Fuel team. And they realized that dream a couple years back with Tony Schumacher, and now adding Tim Wilkerson to the team and Justin Ashley this year. Definitely definitely sad, and everybody was racing with a little extra purpose for that team this weekend because of it.
Yeah, for sure. And as you guys all know, Justin Ashley joined the Maynard Family Racing Team at Chicago a few races ago, and won the Mission Foods Too Fast Too Tasty Challenge yesterday. And he said it was one of his biggest wins because of the passing of Kathy Maynard. And I know for sure he went to go one more round here today and get the win in Kathy's honor. Came up just a little bit short in the final round. We're going to break it all down in just a little bit. So usually we kick off the show with Top Fuel Eliminator, but Dave, I think it's only right we kick off the show with Nitro Funny Car. Let's get right into it. Dave, how about it in Nitro Funny Car? Blake Alexander, where did he come from? Gets his first win of the year, but first win in Nitro Funny Car. How about that, man?
That's pretty cool. And like you'd already mentioned earlier, it came at the same place that he got his first career win in Top Fuel. Was that 5 years ago now in 2018? Man, it doesn't seem like it's been that long ago, but time flies, especially after COVID happened, man. Things are just flying on through. But how about for car owner Jim Head? I mean, that whole team, it's been a long time since that team won in a national event. You'd go back to Jim driving 1997 Pennzoil Nationals in Memphis when he won in Top Fuel. And if you go to the last time that team won a funny car national event, you'd have to go all the way back to Brainerd, 1985, 3 years before Blake Alexander was even born. Was the last time Jim Head was in a funny car winner's circle.
And it's funny because, you talk about, obviously, Jim Head Racing, they're not one of the powerhouse teams out there. You think of Coletta, Force, but let's not forget, Jim Head's been out here for a long time. He's won the U.S. Nationals. Let's not forget that. He is a legend within the sport. Has done a lot for funny car racing, Top Fuel Racing, and it's great to see him back in the winner's circle as a team owner. His son, Chad, drove the car a few years back. Yanni Lindbergh has been in that car, and now Blake Alexander driving for him. And congratulations to Jim Head on Jim Head Racing, of course, of getting the win here today here at the Summit Racing Equipment Nationals. And you just talk about everything that team has been through, the struggles they've been through on the racetrack, but also off the racetrack, losing Dylan Cromwell a few years ago. And for them to come back, what's funny is that the final round here today between Alexander and Hagan was a rematch of the final round from Gainesville last year. And so Blake Alexander gets a little revenge, but with all the stuff that team has gone through, it's great to see them back in the winner's circle. Great to see Blake Alexander in the winner's circle. And it just kind of reminds me of Dale Worsham when he won his first championship in 2011 at Top Fuel. It only seemed right when he finally got that championship at Funny Car because he started off in Funny Cars. You want to see him have that success in Nitro Funny Car. Same with Blake Alexander. Had the success in Top Fuel, won Norwalk, won Sonoma, but finally gets it done in a Nitro Funny Car, and it's great to see.
Oh, it was, and you could tell just what it meant to him by his top end interview with Amanda Busick, how choked up he was, and that's probably the most emotion I think we've seen out of one of the drivers in a long time. Definitely means a lot to him, not only for himself, but for the team, his family, everybody that supported him. Pronto Auto Parts, who has been with that team for with Blake, I should say, no matter which car he was in, the funny car or the dragster, for a lot of years. And it's just great to see a team like that have success instead of just coming on here and talking about one of the big three picking up another win.
Mm-hmm. And let's not forget, Blake Alexander bet on himself, was driving Nitro Funny Car, went to drive for Bob Vandergriff in Top Fuel. Like we mentioned it, won Norwalk, won Sonoma. But then he said, hey, I'm leaving Vandergriff. I'm going to go start my own team. Went back to Funny Car. And it's been some lean years, but he finally comes out on top. And he becomes the 18th different winner to win races in both Top Fuel and Funny Car. If you guys want the rest of the list, I got it for you right here. Don Perdome, Mark Oswald, Gene Snow, Frank Hawley, Kenny Bernstein, the Bud King, Tom the Mongoose McEwen, Ed the Ace McCullough, Mike Dunn, Scott Coletta, Jim Head, Ron Capps, Tommy Johnson Jr., Gary Selzy, Melanie Troxel, Dale Worsham, J.R. Todd, and Sean Langdon. That's a great group to be a part of.
That's a who's who of drag racing on that list right there. I mean, champions are on that list, multi-time champions, legends of the sport. It's definitely an exclusive club to be in, and congratulations to Blake for picking up his first career win today and joining that group, and first of many, I feel like.
joining his car owner as well. How cool is that? Jim Head is on that list. So,
Jim Head's on the list too. That's right.
That's really cool. So let's now take a look at Blake Alexander's highlights here today from Norwalk. First round taking on Tim Wilkerson. And Tim Wilkerson, he's going to turn on the red light right here. 015 red. Blake Alexander right down the boulevard. He gets the round win. 399 with a 5 at 319 miles per hour as he moves into round number 2. Then it's Blake Alexander taking on Alexis DeJoria and another red light. Alexis turns on the red light. 3,000ths on the red side for Alexis DeJoria. Blake Alexander, he has problems. 514, 144, but he moves into the semifinals. Then there's Blake Alexander, Bob Tasca. When it's your day, it's your day. Bob Tasca going to smoke the tires right to hit of the throttle, and Blake Alexander, strong run, 3.924 at 322 miles per hour to move into the final round. Tough break for Bob Tasca at 10-17 as he's out in the semifinals. But Dave, when it's your day, it's your day. 2 red lights, and then another guy smokes the tires right to hit. Man.
Yeah, but you know what? It just gave him that much more time to tune on it, to work on it, to get that lane figured out. And as we'll see here in just a moment, they just whooped him in the finals.
Yeah, he did. His opponent in the final, Matt Hagan, like I said, this is a rematch from your Gainesville final back in 2022 when Matt Hagan got the first win for Tony Stewart Racing. Let's now take a look at the highlights of Matt Hagan's day. First round taking on Peanut Dale Creasy Jr. Matt Hagan gets the win, 396 with a 2 at 323 miles per hour as he moves into the quarterfinals for Matt Hagan in that beautiful green Nitro Funny car. Then it's a big-time matchup right here. TSR versus John Forrest Racing. Matt Hagan versus Robert Height. 2 world champions, 2 3-time world champions. Top end, Matt Hagan gets the win, 3.912 at 329. So Robert Height's 393 with the 1 at 322. Then it's Matt Hagan and it's J.R. Todd, 2 more champions. And Matt Hagan's going to get the win on a hole shot. Matt Hagan gets the win, 3.959, 328. To J.R. Todd's quicker but losing, 3.954 at 324. And it's Hagan. It's Alexander. Final round, Nitro Funny Car, Norwalk. Let's take a look at that final round right now.
Guess what, race fans? That trophy's going to stay right here in Ohio. 393, 321 miles an hour. Matt Hagan goes 399 at 327 miles an hour. Blake Alexander wins for Jim Head.
The Summit Nationals medal around the neck of Blake Alexander. That first funny car Wally is going to go in the hands of Blake Alexander. Now that ice cream scoop is also yours, Blake. You returned to the seat of a funny car in 2019, and it has showcased a series of highs and lows for you. What does this achievement represent?
This is hard. This is hard. This is hard. Waking up at 4 o'clock in the morning to work my ass off to get money. Thank you, Robert Bruce. Thank you to my wife. Everyone who puts up with my shit. I love you guys. Pronto Parts Authority. Thank you guys for being here today. I had a good day with you guys today. We'll do it again.
I don't think we've ever seen that much emotion from Blake Alexander, ever. That's awesome.
The man was definitely happy to win, wasn't he?
Oh, man. Great win for Blake Alexander. First win of the year, but first ever career win in Nitro Funny Car. Like we all know, got his career start in Nitro Funny Car, moved to top field, picked up 2 wins in Norwalk and Sonoma back in 2018. Great job for Blake Alexander. Great win for Jim Head Racing. And, man, you know, like I said, with all the struggles that team has been through on the racetrack and off the racetrack, it is great to see that team back in the winner's circle. For Matt Hagan, though, the runner-up here, so the last couple shows, I've been joking. I'm like, we need to put an APB out for Matt Hagan because I don't know where he's at. I guess Dickie Venables and Matt Hagan kind of heard what I was saying because they came back. Strong weekend for them. Gets to the final round. And Dave, not only did they get to the final round, but they are now your points leader in Nitro Funny Car going into the Western Swing.
They are. And I would say when we looked at Matt Hagan's day, unfortunately, Dale Creasy got out of the groove, had a cylinder go out first round. But his other rounds, he didn't have an easy run of it. You know, the matchup against Robert Height and then having to win on a hole shot against a resurging J.R. Todd in the semis. I mean, they definitely fought for it, came up a little bit short in the final. Kind of makes me wonder if they were a little conservative or a little too safe on the tune-up, maybe thinking that Jim Head and Blake Alexander weren't going to go out there and swing for the fence because 399 seemed a little bit weak from that car to me.
Dude,
what was your thought?
Dude, Blake Alexander left on him. He left on him. He was ready to go. Yeah, I think it was 23 reaction time. He was ready to go.
And outran him. So
outran him. 28.
But 028 to an 067. So yeah, I mean Blake was ready for it. That could have been a red light on the wrong side. I mean, that could have been a wrong side real quick, but yeah, he was definitely ready. I mean, left on him, had full hundreds by the time they passed the Christmas tree, and then just drove away. And I wasn't expecting that. I was watching it like, wow, all right, here comes the top end charge. It never came.
And you can literally see it on NHRA.tv. When the light turned green, Alexander had a great whole shot advantage on Matt Hagan. Like you said, I'm like, at some point, I'm like, where's the tire smoke going to come? Or when is Matt Hagan going to drive around him? And it never happened. And when Blake Alexander crossed the finish line first, fists in the air, great to see Blake Alexander back in the winner's circle. So, Dave, it's that time of the show. Who is our high performer of the race here at the Summit Racing Equipment NHRA Nationals?
Well, it's got to be Blake Alexander coming out with the first career win in the Nitro Funny Car, adding his name to the Nitro Win Club for NHRA, and first win in 5 years. Moving on up in the standings, getting ever closer to that number 10 spot. Don't look now; he's only 28 away from Cruz Pedregon for 10th. Maybe a run at the championship if they keep having good success.
And for Blake Alexander, he hasn't run all the races, so he has to be in the top 10 to make the countdown, correct?
He does, yes. He has to be there because he's not getting the participation award.
Let's now take a look at the funny car standings as we head into the Western Swing. Can you believe we're already at the Western Swing? That is crazy. Matt Hagan on top, Ron Capps second and fourth, Robert Height third, and it's crazy. Hagan, Height, and Capps are all a first three in Nitro Funny Car. Chad Green fourth.
But here's what's crazy: Chad Green's still fourth. 86 pack. Alexis DeJoria, we talk about her struggles and red lights and late lights and all kind of stuff, and she's still fifth in points within 4 rounds of first. Bob Tasca hanging out there. I mean, look how close the field is. Okay, maybe Hagan and Capps are a couple points away from each other, but third through sixth, how close those guys are. I mean, it's definitely an interesting season the way that it's played out. And J.R. Todd going rounds today starts getting hot. He can start moving his way back up. Tim Wilkerson, rare red light, dropped him a little bit. But, I mean, it's this race definitely turned the season upside down. Of course, we were talking about that last year. And you know what? Remember we were talking about how Height and Hagan were just dominating 2022. And we got to the Western Swing. And then Hagan had, 3 first-round losses or something like that. He went out first round in Denver, early at Sonoma, and just kind of all fell apart for him at that point. So, here's to hoping that he's got a little bit stronger momentum going through this year.
Yeah, for sure. And like I said, I've been joking the past few races saying, ever since that win in Las Vegas, I'm like, you need to put an APB out for Matt Hagan and Dickie Venables because I don't know where they're at. Obviously, I was just joking because I know they're going to turn it around and be one of the contenders for the championship, and they were strong here this weekend. Great to see J.R. Todd in the semifinals, took down the GOAT, John Forrest, in round number 1, made it to the semifinals. Unfortunately, lost on a whole shot to Matt Hagan, and good to see Bob Tasca in the semifinals as well. Anybody else you want to go over in Nitro Funny Car, Dave, before we move on?
Well, and Bob Tasca was your number 1 qualifier. That was a bit of a shock. Capps almost stole it in the last round, but he didn't do it. But also, Ron Capps, how about coming out? He won the Too Fast, Too Tasty challenge over Robert Height in just a beautiful drag race on Saturday afternoon. Height left on him, and Capps drove around him right at the finish line, put 3 more points in his countdown pocket. And a little bit of a surprise today, I think, with Ron, at least for me, J.R. Todd took him out on a whole shot too in round 2. So we were talking about J.R. Todd's resurgence. I mean, he took out Force in first round, which Force's 4 flat was probably exaggerated a little bit with his same as his 033 light because he dove it in really deep. But like J.R., Amanda asked JR after the second round, and he's like, well, they just try and go up there and do the same thing and let the cards fall where they may. He wasn't trying to dive it in deep, and he ran quicker in the second round than he did the first, so I don't think he gave it up by staging deep. That was just a quick light against Capps, and he needed it, and it paid off. And unfortunately, go to the semifinals, and it bit him. I mean, he and Hagan put on a heck of a race, in my opinion, and it could have went either way. That could have very easily been J.R. Todd and Blake Alexander in the finals, both of them looking for their first win of the year.
And, between J.R. Todd and John Forrest, like we all know, they play games on the starting line. And John has had J.R. Todd's number the past few races. So it's good to see J.R. finally get one over the 16-time world champion. Quick question from Drag Racing Central. He says, best race of the year? What do you think, Dave?
Yeah, I would say so. I'd say it's been one of the more entertaining ones so far. The commentary around the track seems to be that this is kind of like, how did they put it? Indy Light, or like the preview of the U.S. Nationals, because you're in the Midwest. It's that time of year. 20 top fuel cars showed up to try and qualify. Fields were strong. Every category was there. So you had, all the sportsman classes, the alcohol classes, pro mod, factory stock, all 4 pro classes. It was definitely a good event. And the only black eye to the event is just that rain canceled most of Friday. I feel like if we would have gotten 4 sessions of qualifying in for all the classes, I know the nitro cars did get some runs on Friday, but all the other categories, you could have definitely seen an even better show, I feel like.
And I've proposed this on Competition Plus Power Hour on Tuesday nights. And some people may call me crazy for saying this. And we're 2 weeks before 4th of July. We're pretty much around the 4th of July, time frame. But if this race isn't going to be 4th of July weekend, which is America's racetrack, let's put Norwalk 2 weeks before the U.S. Nationals. Kind of like the old IHRA, NHRA dynamic, the World Nationals, how all the guys bring their new stuff to the World Nationals to test for the U.S. Nationals. Hey, let's put it a few weeks before Indy. I don't know. Both in the Midwest, not far from each other. Just saying.
I think you got to leave them apart just in case the way that it is, because there's a lot of the low bug teams that could probably only could afford to do one and not both. And I think you might hurt counts one way or the other if you put them too close to each other. I hate to say it, but I think that Norwalk was definitely one of the more entertaining and definitely a lot of storylines, a lot of obviously the different winners that are coming out of this race. Just entertaining, close races, some weirdness on the starting line, a lot of double steps, a lot of red lights, a lot of and it wasn't just the pro classes. The alcohol dragster class was having it. Pro stock motorcycle, pro stock car. They were shaking and shutting off early. Just a lot of action.
Mm-hmm. Ronald Mopar No Car says, once Jean Force is done racing, which I hope is no time soon, but Matt Hagan will be the next major player due to the face of the NHRA. And I cannot disagree with that. Matt Hagan is a great spokesperson and representative of the NHRA. But Drag Racing Central, he disagrees. He says, I'd say the next big face will be Clay Millican due to his popularity. So Drag Racing Central thinks Clay Millican will be the next face of NHRA. I got to give a shout out to this guy right here, the Chef 87. He says, hey guys, first time watching. This is cool. We follow each other on Instagram, so I want to give a shout out to him right there. Thank you for tuning in to Inside the NHRA, man. I really do appreciate it. And I got to give a shout out to my mom with the super chat. Let's get after this recap. So thank you to mom right there. And then Ronald says, that's Top Fuel, not funny car. Drag Racing Central, you said face of NHRA, not funny car. Oh, they're going at it in the comments. I like it.
There you go.
Dujanay, Doug Coletta, you've been struck by Alan Johnson syndrome. Dan Mercier taking out Doug Coletta here today in Norwalk.
We'll get to that. But
we'll
to wrap up, before we putting up an end to funny car here, somebody that we talked about a little bit earlier in the weekend, Michael McIntyre. That team strung together some impressive runs as of late. Mm-hmm. And he was one of the other ones that was bit by the starting line bug, just double stepped. It just went too soon, negative 305 foul. That was just pretty much as the tree was coming on. So, but shout out to the team for running well. And it's just a shame that it didn't parlay, because I think that could have been another one that could have give Robert Hyde a first round race. And that could have been another upset that we'd be talking about on the show today had it played out.
For sure. And like you guys just all saw, Monday Morning Racers trying to get into the show. He will be here with us for about 15-20 minutes to break down all of the sportsman action, Top Alcohol Dragster, Top Alcohol Funny Car, Pro Mod, and Factory X, making their technically debut in Norwalk here this weekend. So we'll bring on Monday Morning Racer in about 10 minutes or so. So the Monday Morning Racer, Lee Crabb, will be coming up in just a little bit here on Inside the NHRA. So Nitro Funny Cars in the books. Let's now move on to the Factory Hot Rods, gear jamming, door slamming, pro stock car. pro stock car. Matt Hartford gets the win. He finally breaks through, gets the win. First win of the year for Matt Hartford, 6th of his career, and first since Denver, the Mile High Nationals up on Thunder Mountain back in 2022. And Dave, like I said, Matt Hartford, great start to the year. Kind of tailed off a little bit, had 2 back-to-back first-round losses in Chicago and Bristol, but he comes back strong here in Norwalk, gets the win. And like I've always said, if you keep knocking on the door, and putting yourself in position, you'll finally break through and get the win. And that happened for Matt Hartford here today, here at America's Racetrack.
Yeah, it sure did. And I really think that what we've been seeing this year is kind of the stuff we've been talking about the prior shows between Dallas Glenn, Derek Kramer, Matt Hartford. Kind of seeing a little changing the guard in pro stock. Some of these guys that you have seen out there have been competing for a couple of years, and in Matt's case, for quite a few. People forget he's been out there for quite a long time now. Hitting his stride. 3rd number 1 qualifier of the season and his career. 6th win of his career. 2nd in points. Moving his way up. I mean, these guys are going to be the new face of pro stock. I feel like the way that anything's going these days. So it doesn't take much, little adjustments here and there. Matt even admitted as much when he talked about his first qualifying run on Saturday that driver screwed up and missed a couple things as far as shift points and whatnot. And that was enough to keep him from taking what he felt would be the pole in the first qualifying session. Came back in the second session when the air temperature was hotter, the air quality was worse, and still ended up going to number 1, which just shows to the power that team has. So I think that, coming off of a win last year at Denver, they obviously have the setup for the mountain too. So we'll see if he can carry that momentum up at the start of the Western swing here too.
Matt Hartford, Dallas Glenn, Derek Kramer. That has been like your big 3 in pro stock so far here this season. Derek Kramer's won, Dallas Glenn has won, and it's great to finally see Matt Hartford in the winner's circle. Derek Kramer won the Mission Foods Too Fast, Too Tasty Challenge yesterday. Right. Unfortunately, his final round streak got snapped here today. We're going to get into that in just a little bit. But, man, just great to see Matt Hartford, Eddie Granacci, the crew chief, having some success here at America's Racetrack. So let's now take a look at Matt Hartford's highlights here. First round taking on Fernando Quadra. And Matt Hartford, he's going to get the win with a strong 661 with a 5 at 206. 017 reaction time. Sails on down the racetrack to get the win as he moves into round number 2. Then it's the big time matchup right here. We just talked about Derek Kramer. It's Matt Hartford and it's Derek Kramer. Derek Kramer trying to pull off the double up here at Norwalk, but he's not going to be able to get it done as Matt Hartford with another strong run. 6.6601 at 206 miles per hour to Derek Kramer 664 with the 7 as Matt Hartford moves into the final 4. Then it's Team Elite versus KB Titan. Matt Hartford, Aaron Stanfield, top end. Matt Hartford's going to get the win. 662 with the 4 at 206 to Aaron Stanford's 666 with the 6 at 206. 4 straight 6s across the board. Not a great number to see in pro stock cars. 6666. I don't like that number, but Matt Hartford gets the win and moves into another final round here in 2023. On the other side of the ladder, taking on Dallas Glenn. Dallas Glenn, first round, taking on Bob Utner in the first round, and Dallas Glenn's going to get the win. 661 at 206 to Butner's 664 at 204. Then we move into round number 2. It's Dallas Glenn taking on Erica Enders. Erica coming off that big-time win in Bristol. Expecting a lot from Erica. See if she can go back-to-back. But unfortunately, she's going to have problems at the top end. Dallas Glenn's going to get the win. 663, 206 to Erica's 704, 157. Dallas Glenn is into another semifinal. Dallas Glenn, Troy Coughlin, another one of those KB Titan versus Elite Motorsports matchups. And how about it? KB Titan's going to get the round win once again. Look at Dallas Glenn going through the gears. He gets the win. 663 with a 5 at 206 as he takes down Troy Coughlin Jr.'s 1927 with a 6 at 75 miles per hour. So let's now take a look at this final round now. Dallas Glenn, Matt Hartford, final round in Norwalk.
Hartford wins it. 6.624, 207 miles an hour. That one was over early as Dallas squared the tire. And he is just kind of easing on down the summit side. But for Rottler, for Total Seals, CIP1, KI and the gang, Matt Hartford .005 on reaction time. It didn't make a difference, but he was ready for 00 Dallas no matter what went down. And Matt Hartford, his second #1 qualifier of the year, he'll probably tell you he should have won 2 or 3 races already this year. Well, he got his first one, and he may have the best car in Pro Stock right now. Let's go.
As you guys can see, Matt Hartford celebrating his win up here. The medal's going to go around his neck. The winter hat, the presentation of the Wally is going to make its way in here as well. And then, of course, with that famous ice cream scoop from Bill Bader here at the top end. And, Matt, you take out the most dominant car in the class this season. How great did that clutch foot work for you today?
I have no idea what it was in the finals, but I'll take it. You know something, Dallas is as mean as anybody gets out here. But, you know, Rottler's been with us forever, and without them we couldn't be out here. And, of course, it's a double day for Getrix. We got Hector in the winner's circle, and everybody Rob's back at, you know, the shop, the host connection, ZMAX, CTS, CIP1, of course, all the guys at Total Seal. We couldn't do it without you. And NHRA, we certainly couldn't do it without you. This, you have no idea what this means, because everybody kept saying, can you win again this year? And we came out really strong, and then we fell off. Guess what? We can.
Matt Hartford is living proof that preseason testing is overrated, and here's his tradition.
How about that? Back-to-back great celebrations. You had the emotion from Blake Alexander at Nitro Funny Car, and you got Matt Hartford jumping up on the hood in Pro Stock Car. 6th career win for Matt Hartford, and let's now take a look at the Pro Stock point standings. What's up, Dave?
And go ahead, put the points up there. As we look at the points, I got a trivia question for you. Do you know, since I mentioned he's been doing this for a long time, what was the first national event that Matt Hartford qualified for?
Oh, I do not know that.
The Winter Nationals, 2008.
He's been out here for a long time.
Yeah. And I mean, he was in the Sport Compact Series before that, but in NHRA Pro Stock, the first event that he qualified for, 2008 Winter Nationals, lost to Alan Johnson first round.
Oh, that's a throwback name for you right there, Alan Johnson in the
Battle of the Dodges. Yep, Matt started in the Dodge too. He was had a 2007 Dodge Stratus.
There you go. There you go. And as you see now, he is second in points behind Dallas Glenn, 162 out. Derek Kramer in third. Like I said, the big three in Pro Stock right now is Dallas Glenn, Matt Hartford, and Derek Kramer. Troy Coughlin Jr., he won the Gator Nationals to kick off the year. He's fourth. Aaron Stanfield, fifth. Greg Anderson, sixth. Erica Enders is in seventh. Bo Butner rounds out the top 10. Kyle Koreski in 11th. He has had a tough going so far here in 2023, I would say.
What's amazing when you look at that is how far ahead Dallas is. I mean, he is stringing round wins together, race wins, runner-up finishes. I mean, he's just, you know, if this is Jason Line 2.0 on that team, look out, because that's going to be the next face when Greg decides to hang it up.
And I said this previous shows, the year that Dallas Glenn is having so far, and it's been dominant, is the year I expected him to have last season. Coming off that great rookie season in 2021, I expected him to have a great season like he's having right now. Last year, won the Gator Nationals, but didn't really hear much from him after that. I guess the sophomore slump is a serious thing. I wouldn't call it a sophomore slump for Dallas Glenn because he still had a great race car, but didn't have the breakout season I thought he would. But he's having it here in 2023, and right now he is the car to beat in Pro Stock Car. Love saying that. Let's now move on to the 5-time champ, Erica Enders. Like we said, coming off that big-time win in Thunder Valley a few weeks ago. Did you expect a little better outing from the 5-time world champ here in Norwalk?
I did, especially after qualifying. It seemed like that the car had the performance, but you know, the funny thing is she took the pole initially after the first session on a losing run to Greg Anderson in the Too Fast, Too Tasty rematch of the semifinals at Bristol. Greg picks it up on a hole shot. Erica goes to #1 qualifying, but goes on the trailer. Hartford steals the pole from her in the second qualifying session. And then, you know, she goes out there and has the trans break on her in the second round up against Dallas, which they were pretty close to each other off the starting line. If you go off first round performances, it's hard to say, you know, if she would have held him off or not. She had made up the gap. They were only about 100th or so apart in reaction time and had that made up before going through the finish line or before half track, I should say. And then and then Dallas unfortunately just drove away. But I will also say this. She got lucky in the first round too. Eric Latino, shout out to Eric Latino, making his first start. 016 light to Erica's 067. If he just makes the same run he does in qualifying, he's got 500s on her going by the Christmas tree. You just got to go with 669, just get it to the finish line. And she would have been another first round loss to go with the rest of them that she's had throughout the year. So, you would have thought that Bristol would have been a rebound, but Norwalk was not a good result, not a good showing.
Hey, but Wes Buck, though, he said, he guaranteed on his show, the Wes Buck show, he said Erica Enders is going to win her 6th Pro Stock World Championship here in 2023. And I can't disagree. It's still a long way to go. So I'm not counting out Erica whatsoever because she is one of the best to do it in races for one of the best teams in the class. You don't think so?
I don't think so.
You don't think so? Well,
no,
there you have it.
I appreciate the guarantee, but I don't think so.
I'm just saying, Wes Buck, he guaranteed it. He said he guaranteed it. Our buddy Red Racer 1985, James Call, says 6 winners in pro stock in their first 8 races of the season. This category is showing the parity that class has potential of showing. And he also goes on to say, my congratulations to Blake Alexander on his funny car win. My favorite winner of this weekend. That was a great winner here at Norwalk. The Mystic says, Pro Stock Bike. I missed that recap. No, the Mystic, you have not missed it yet. Pro Stock Bike is coming up in just a little bit. I'll just leave that right there.
Oh, yeah. All right, there you go. That makes sense. Hey, I will tell you this. Greg Anderson, we don't really think of the performance because he's been struggling so much lately. I thought that this might be a good rebound race for him, too, after what he did with the whole shot win over Erica. But they ended up losing the Too Fast, Too Tasty final to Derek Kramer. And then, unfortunately, repeated. Well, he left with Kyle Koretsky in first round, which is hard enough to do in of itself. And we talked about Kyle being 11th in points. We did not expect him to go out first round against Greg Anderson. And left pretty close with Aaron Stanfield, too. Stanfield with an 018 and Greg with an 029. Greg's driving has been improving. I think the car just let him down a little bit this weekend. But I will say this, pro stock stat of the day, if it's Greg Anderson versus the field, you could take every other pro stock driver that was in the event today, combine all their wins, and they still don't add up to Greg Anderson.
I love that. Hey, Dave, where's your graphic for the stat of the day, man?
I don't have one. I just make them as I go.
I love it. I love it. The Monday Morning Racer is still trying to get in here. He's having a little bit of technical difficulties. We'll bring on Lee Craft as soon as we can to recap Top Alcohol Dragster, Top Alcohol Funny Car, Factory X, Pro Mod, and all that great stuff. Any final thoughts on Pro Stock? Anybody else you want to go over before we move on, Dave?
Well, I think we gave a shout out to Eric Latino. A shout out to the McGahays for making it here because Alan Reinhardt had mentioned that they were so down after their dismal performance at Bristol that they might have been able to, might have thought or considered to skip this event. So I'm glad that they didn't. Glad that they showed up. Camry Caruso with a very, very not even close red light, I would say, in the first round against Derek Kramer. I mean, she was definitely pushing it. And then Kramer ends up shaking the tires and pushing the clutch in. I mean, that one has to really sting. Congrats to Jerry Tucker for going rounds. Just the field's kind of upside down. Troy Coughlin Jr., he's another one who's just quietly going rounds every race. He's not necessarily at the forefront of the conversation, but as we looked at in the point standings, he's 4th behind the quote-unquote big 3. It's really a competitive season for sure, other than Dallas kind of getting out there, stringing those wins together and separating himself from the pack. But this and Funny Car and even Top Fuel, we get to there. When you start looking through those, this is kind of when you wish there wasn't a countdown. You kind of want to just see how it plays out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with that. I definitely do agree with that. Hey, guys. So, like I said, trying to get the Monday Morning Racer on to recap Sportsman, having little technical difficulties. What we're going to do is we're going to take a quick break, and we come back. We're going to try to get Pro Stock Motorcycle in, and then we'll bring on the Monday Morning Racer.
Competition Products, your source for hardcore engine parts for street, strip, and oval track. Our free catalog is packed with hundreds of product lines from the best-known manufacturers in the performance industry. Lowest prices guaranteed. Free shipping and handling on all orders over $149 in the continental U.S.
Need expert advice? Our knowledgeable staff is just a phone call away.
Competition Products, race parts sold by racers since 1970.
What a convincing and just solid win from Hector Rana Jr. today in pro stock motorcycle. And get this, Dave, 18th career win for Hector Rana Jr. That is 9th all time. Hector Rana Jr. is getting up there, and he gets the win here today here in Norwalk. How about it?
Yeah, not only 9th all time, but he's only 2 behind Ellie Toglet for 8th. So he's working his way up. I mean, he's another one that's been out there for a long time. Former class champion. I mean, he's been out there 10 plus seasons as well. And it just time goes by. I guess you don't really think about it. Took a little bit of a hiatus for a while there after the Lucas Oil deal went away. But great to see him back in Winter Circle again and runner up in the Too Fast, Too Tasty Challenge on Saturday too. So pretty close to a weekend sweep for Hector, which is surprising that that's the storyline, considering what the storyline has been all season of Gage Herrera and the Vance and Hines team. He was the non-story this weekend.
With Gage Herrera kind of coming back to earth now, falling down to grace, and Hector Rana Jr. getting his win. Because let's not forget, like you said, was been part-time the past couple of years when the Lucas Oil deal kind of fell through. Finished last year so strong, picked up a few wins at the end of last year, and now they're full-time here this year. Can Hector Rana Jr. be a key player this year for the championship, do you think?
I mean, at this particular point, he's the best of the rest. He's number 2 in points. I don't see why you couldn't count him out at this point. I mean, how do you count him out at this point? I mean, the man's for real. He knows how to win a championship. Steve Johnson, shout out to him being 3rd, but the guys that are normally up top, Matt Smith, Eddie Craigwick, I mean, they're there, but they are a little bit further behind than you'd anticipate at this point. So then again, we also have to consider Pro Stock Motorcycle has not been to a lot of events this year. We're only 5 races in, even though we're that far into the rest of the season. We're only 5 in on the motorcycles. And I think they skip a lot of the Western swing, if I'm not mistaken, too. I don't think they're not going to Denver, right?
I think they're going to Denver. They're not going to Seattle, I believe.
Not Seattle. Okay, so Denver and Sonoma, and then skip in Seattle, and so it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. But Gage has plenty of time to get back on his stride. Just ran into a recent string of bad luck. I think that had they had the 2 qualifying sessions on Friday that they were supposed to have, the red light and the Mission Foods Challenge does not happen. You got to remember that was the next time that he took the tree after his red light in the final round at Bristol.
Yep.
And it ended up being another red light, and he was probably still fine-tuning a little bit on maybe his positioning, maybe where how the clutch linkage is set up, and just stepped a little bit over the line and gave that one away. And in the second round, I don't know that necessarily he did anything wrong. I think it might have just been a setup issue. It bogged, it turned the tire, whatever the case was. That one was over by 60 foot, and unfortunately just could not run Gianna down.
So obviously, the Gage Herrera rule kind of came out within the past couple weeks. Strap 5 pounds on those Suzukis, and it still kind of didn't matter because he was still number 1 qualifier. But you mentioned, the red light in the Mission Foods Too Fast, Too Tasty Challenge. The psyche of any competitor from when you red light in the final round at Bristol, I'm pretty sure that was still on his mind going into this first round of competition in the Mission Foods Too Fast, Too Tasty Challenge. Because
no doubt,
when you have a mistake like that, you kind of want to do whatever you can to try to get that out your mind and kind of get it past you, that first run out. And of course, unfortunately, his first run out, like you said, was actually a competition run. So it's kind of tough. Yeah.
Didn't get to have the 2 basically practice attempts at the tree that he should have on Friday to be ready for Saturday. But still a great showing. The 5 pounds, did they matter? Well, he was still number 1 qualifier. He still had a couple hundredths on the field, still went out there in the first round in the worst atmospheric conditions that they'd seen all weekend and ran low ET to meet even quicker than he qualified. So the bike is still there. Don't throw up the warning signs just yet. Five straight number ones, still got low ET, still chasing history.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is. But Gage Herrera was not the one who won today. It was Hector Arana Jr. So let's now take a look at the highlights of Hector Arana Jr.'s day. First round, taking on Wesley Wells. How about Wesley Wells coming out here in Norwalk? And Hector Arana Jr. gets the win, 682.6 at 199 as Hector Arana Jr. moves into the second round. Then it's Hector Arana Jr. taking on Angie Smith in round number 2. Angie won the Mission Foods Challenge yesterday, but unfortunately is going to come up short right here as Hector Arana Jr. strong, 6.801 at 199 as Hector Arana Jr. moves into the Final Four in pro stock motorcycle. Then it's the 6-time world champion, Matt Smith, Hector Arana Jr. And top end, Hector Arana Jr. is going to outrun him on the racetrack by 1/100th of a second. 682.0 at 199 to Matt Smith, 683.9 at 200 miles per hour. So Hector Arana Jr. into another final round. His opponent, Steve Johnson, he won a few weeks back in Bristol. He's back in the final round here at Norwalk. Let's take a look at that final round right now.
One run for a trophy. The two riders look at each other. You ready? Yeah, I'm ready. Check it out down to the scoreboard. It's going to be Hector, 682 for the win, 199 miles an hour, 694 for Steve Johnson. Hector Arana Sr., that's his proud papa up there on the big, a former world champion in the category.
Hector, you're now holding a Wally from the location that your father picked up his first win. How full circle is this moment for your family?
This is so awesome. What a blessing. And hey, we finally got the ice cream scoop. We won it and they didn't have it, and now we got an ice cream scoop to go with it. So, wow, this is awesome. And I can't thank Steve Bryson and Scott Bryson. We've become such good friends, and I just love working with those guys. They're like family. It's awesome. I can't say enough about Getrix. And guys, credit card processing through Getrix, you got to go to them. They're the best.
Great sponsor pitch right there from Hector Arana Jr. Career win, number 18 in pro stock motorcycle. That is 9th all time. And like Dave W. just mentioned, just 2 behind Ellie Tonglet for 8th. Give a shout out to Gianna Evaristo. Like we mentioned, Gage Herrera, kind of, no panic, but kind of coming down, falling to grace, coming back down to earth. She makes it to the semifinals. Been a tough year so far. So I want to give a shout out to Gianna Evaristo, who took out Gage in round number 2 and into the semifinals.
So how surprised were you that Hector Arana Jr. outran Matt Smith? Not only left on him, but outran him in the semifinals. I wasn't
surprised because, like I said, Hector Arana Jr. has always had a strong bike. He finished off last year so strong. Not the best of starts here this year, but wasn't surprised whatsoever. And I know Matt Smith is still trying to figure out that whole Suzuki program.
Yeah, true. I just didn't know. To me, I thought that Matt would have stepped it up a little bit more, but Hector did have a quicker run throughout the earlier runs. He was about, I think, 100th quicker than him in the first round. And then when they went through in the second round, he had him by about 300ths. Matt was kind of pouring on the power, though. He was the first one to go 200 this weekend. Took to the last 2 pairs of first round of pro stock motorcycle to see 200s with Matt Smith and Eddie Krawick. Thought that we might not see it. Eddie did end up with top speed with the 200.98. So the Vance 9 team did get low ET and top speed honors, but I guess I'm just surprised that Matt is not performing up to his standards, even though that he's trying to figure out the Suzuki.
Remember last year, he would go back from the Buell and the Suzuki, and he it didn't take him that long to win on the Suzuki. He won Richmond, defeated Steve Johnson in the final round. It wasn't a whole shot. A little surprising that he hasn't figured out it a little bit more up to this point in the season. Like I said, only 5 races in, so a long way to go. But a little surprising to see kind of a little bit of the struggles from the 6-time world champ Matt Smith early here in 2023, I would say.
But at the same time, like he said, I'm going to stick to the Suzuki program this year, and the man likes a challenge. Maybe he knows that maybe he's a little bit behind the 8 ball with it, but he can make it work. and that might be where he's at right now.
It might be a thing of, hey, what more do I have to prove on the Buell? I've proven time and time again with how many world championships and consecutive world championships I've won on this Buell. I need a new challenge. And so, like you said, probably just looking for a new challenge. Pro Stock Motorcycle point standings now as he moved into the Western Swing. Gage Herrera, he is out there, 189 ahead of Hector Rauner Jr., Steve Johnson 3rd, Eddie Krivick 4th, Matt Smith 5th, Angie Smith 6th, Chase Van Zandt 7th, Gianna Evaristo 8th, Mark Ingerson 9th, and Ryan Ayler rounds out the top 10. And surprising right there, Joey Gladstone, I believe your championship runner-up last year. I forget if he finished second or not, but he is 11th, moving in to Denver. So,
well, and he was not even in attendance this weekend. He was working with the KB Racing team with their Pro Stock cars, but did not have his motorcycle here.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
To answer a question that Drag Race Central has posed in the comments about Pro Stock, what is the ratio of elite versus KB winners this year? Well, the answer is 8 races, 6 have gone to KB, 2 have gone to elite.
There you go. There you go. And I mean, I think,
and if you want to just go a little bit further on that, 1, 2, so out of the 12, so we had 2, 3, 4. So 4 of the 12 finalist positions have been elite, and that leaves 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 have been KB, and then you had Mason McGahey in the finals at Gainesville.
And he also goes on to say a lot of that has to do with KB Titan's performance step up. You talk about the pendulum swing. So last year it was all Team Elite, and now this year it swung back into KB Titan's direction. So it's great to see kind of like the performance, you know, how they kind of swing back and forth between each season. I want to give a shout out here to Nova Man 1969. He says, watching from North Carolina. And then we got Peter Cottrell in the comments. He says, how you doing, Darren? What's up, Peter? Thanks for tuning in. The 5-time NHRA Heritage Series Funny Car Champions brother right there, Bobby Cottrell, Peter Cottrell in the comments. Thank you for tuning in, man. David Phelps says, you got to go to a national event sometime. It's unbelievable, actually, there. And you are definitely correct about that. What else we got here? Before we move on. Oh, we got a funny comment from Dujane Bland here. He says, can we even mention Gene Snow? So that's a rabbit hole I don't think we want to go down, I would say.
I don't know. We can mention anything we want.
If you guys don't know about Gene Snow, go and look it up yourself. I want to get a few more comments in here before we move on. Richard says, so awesome for Blake Alexander and Jim Head Racing. And what else we got here? Thank you guys all.
A lot of comments coming in tonight.
Yeah.
Very nice. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Always appreciate it.
It really is. Dragon Central says, KB has stepped up for sure. So, what's up, Dave? You got something else to say?
No, I agree with Drag Race Central. He's true. I think a lot of it, I don't know that it is much of it is horsepower-wise, as maybe they figured out transmission gear ratios and car setup a little bit more. The real ratio that you'd have to look at would be how many times do the KB cars versus elite cars shake the tires, rattle the tires, shut off at 60 feet. And I can't think of any of the KB cars. I know that Kyle Koretsky had to change a motor before Joliet eliminations, but I don't think I've seen too many bombs going off in the KB pits. The way that those elite cars, Troy Coughlin at Joliet coming out with a smoke show, they've really seemed like they're pushing the limits on this stuff, and they are unfortunately crossing over the line. Even going back to Gainesville, Erica not even able to get the car to start first round. They've had a lot of mechanical gremlins and setup gremlins that have really been kind of keeping them down this year, I think.
You know what it is, right?
What is
nitrous? It's nitrous.
Nitrous.
I'm joking. I'm joking. Everybody has a joke. It's a total joke. It's a total joke. We're literally just playing. I need to cut that part out. Cut that part out. No,
edit it.
Do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Edit it. Edit that part out. It's a total joke, everybody. Just joking. It's not nitrous. Nobody's using nitrous. Total joke.
So what's going on with our buddy Lee? Is he going to make it for the Sportsman recap, or?
I don't think so. I just texted him. He said it's not looking good. He's somewhere in the middle of Ohio. You know, that's why I don't go to these type of racetracks because I'm a city boy. I can't go to the middle of nowhere. Lee's in the middle of nowhere, so He can't find connection. So it looks like we have to do it without the Monday morning racer. If he does come on, we'll get his thoughts on the full event in a whole. But we wanted to have him on to break down, like I said, top alcohol dragster, top alcohol funny car, Factory X, and all that stuff. But until we wait for him to get here, Dave, shout out our sportsman winners, man. Started with Super Comp.
Well, we got a lot to talk about. We're coming to the sportsman classes. So Super Comp and Super Gas, both Lauren Freer, who won Super Comp first. They ran the rest of the final rounds, and then she came back because she had the chance to double up with Super Gas. Ended up winning that. That's her 5th and 6th career national event wins. She's the 30th person to double up at an NHRA national event and the first female to do it. So a huge shout out to Lauren Freer for being able to put back-to-back wins together in 2 of the toughest 90 categories that there are to win in. This is also her first career win. Let's see here in Super Gas. She has won 3 categories total, including top dragster as well. Top sportsman, 2nd career win for Scott Wasco. Top dragster, Joe Swanson, who beat his wife in the first round. And they made sure to mention it every time he came up to the starting line that he better not lose. And he didn't. He went through, got his first career win in top dragster. Factory Stock Showdown was a great show this weekend. Stephen Bell picks up his 4th career win, first since Denver of 2021. Definitely a stout field. Really thought that Del Holbrook, I mean, he yarded him in qualifying, man. I thought that the Mustang were going to run away with it. Then the Dodges stepped up a little bit in qualifying and eliminations, but in the end, Stephen Bell walked away with the Wally. Second page, top alcohol dragster, another first career win for Kirk Wolf, who is actually coming into this event, only had 4 round wins. It was his 8th. He added 4 more, so he's got 8 total career round wins. First career win, and did it here today at Norwalk. First career win for Bob McCosh, who has been trying for a long time, had 7 prior runner-ups in top alcohol funny car. He's one of the guys that's been out there for just decades, just plugging away at it. Finally gets one on the national event level, and man, was he excited. His team was excited. It was just great to see. Another first-time winner in Pro Mod, Jason Scruggs, stops the Pro Charger win streak at 7 finally. 2nd career number 1 qualifier. His other one was at the U.S. Nationals back in 2020. Wins it from number 1. Since this is his first event, he is undefeated on the season. However, still didn't get high enough in the points, even though that Norwalk was the last race of the regular season for the Pro Mod cars. They now start their road to the championship when we come back to Brainerd. Justin Bond leads 14 others into the road to the championship. They basically start at 800 points and then go back in 5-point increments all the way back from that. So Pro Mod's basically just wide open again. 5-point increments, you're basically just kind of restarting your season at Brainerd. And it's going to be interesting, especially with the last race of the year also being double points. So Pro Mod is about to get really exciting through the second half of the season. Competition eliminator Bruno Massel picks up his 18th career win. Still chasing that 4th world championship in comp. Nobody's ever done it before, and that is his goal for the season. Super Stop Sean Dornan picks up his first career win with a beautiful 426 Hemi-powered Mopar. That final round was epic. I don't know if anybody got to see it. If you were watching on NHRA TV, the Mopar and the Camaro, that was just a great race, and beat last year's champion Peter Diagnolo to do it. And congratulations to him. Lastly, in stock, Marion Stevenson, who was racing here, unfortunately without his wife, who was at home, going through some things at this time, was all that Alan really said. He was another one that was very emotional and choked up in his winner's circle interview, thinking about her back at home, hoping everything goes well there. 7th career win for Marion, and that rounds out stock eliminator.
Congratulations to all of our Lucas Oil Sportsman winners from the 2023 Summit Racing Equipment NHRA Nationals from America's Racetrack, Summit Motorsports Park. And congratulations to our winners in FlexJet Factory Stock Showdown and our winners in Fuel Tech Pro Mod. So we actually have the Pro Mod final between Jason Scruggs and our 2021 Pro Mod champion, Jose Gonzalez. Let's take a look at that final round right now.
Procharger on one side, Root Supercharger on the other. Our final round in Fuel Tech Pro Modified. Thanks again to Mike Janis. Janis Superchargers, Jansen Racing Engines, presenting sponsor here this weekend. You know that Mike wanted to come up here and sneaking over towards the center line is Scruggs, but he's going to hold on for the win. 576 at 250 miles an hour. 5807, 248 for Jose Gonzalez. They left within 0.03 of a second of each other, and Jason Scruggs had the best car here all weekend long. Congratulations to Roger, Shirley Henson, Michael Scruggs, the entire team down there. They conquered America's racetrack.
Dominant win for Jason Scruggs, number one qualifier, low ET of every round, and he gets the win here at the 2023 Summit Racing Equipment NHRA Nationals. And Drag Racing Central sets.
At his season debut.
Season debut.
Sorry, don't mean to be distracted, but the NASCAR race going on right now. I know it's a drag racing show, but they have been 3 wide for the lead the last 4 laps, and they are putting on a heck of a show at Nashville Superspeedway. So tune in when we're done. It's a good one.
Who's in the lead?
Well, they're 3 wide for the lead. Truex Jr., Chastain, and William Byron. And now they're finally starting to sort it out. What's
They're
that?
on NBC, right? They're on NBC, right?
NBC, yep. NBC is making their debut this weekend, so glad to see that that they're putting on a show because they didn't think they were going to at this track. Anyways, yes, Jason Scruggs, definitely. And he commented as such in his Winner's Circle interview on how much of a challenge it is to run the full quarter mile versus the 1/8 mile stuff.
Mm-hmm. He also says, waiting for Procharger guys to say they have the disadvantage.
Well, the point standings would stay otherwise, and that's just the first of many in the 7-race win streak that's finally been broken for the Prochargers.
I have a question, Dave, and this is for Drag Racing Central too, because Drag Racing Central is one of the biggest Pro Mod fans I know. So like we mentioned, this is the final race of their regular season. They start their road to the championship in Brainerd in a few weeks. They have quite a ways off until Brainerd. Do you think their season is a little too short to have a countdown? Just your opinion.
Well, my opinion is, okay, we could do the countdown. That's fine. I mean, you're still giving them enough races to do it. The problem that I have is just like what they do in all the other categories with the participation awards. If you're going to have a countdown, make it 10, make it 8, pick a number, stick to it. Don't have the substitute driver rule, which, Eric Dillard was in this weekend racing for Kevin Rivenbark. There's been a couple of substitutes throughout the season for other teams to getting in as well to keep their, what would you call it, attendance record perfect. I feel like if you're going to do it, the attendance don't matter. It's just top 10 in points. If you can make the top 10 or the top 8, run it. At this point, there's 15 drivers, which it's kind of questionable. I'm not 100% sure. NHRA is not very clear on a lot of things when it comes to this stuff. They said in their preview article for Norwalk that Jericho Baldoff was one of the other drivers who has a perfect attendance record, but he did not go to Epping. He did not make a qualifying attempt at Epping. He didn't have a tech card that was turned in that I'm aware of. He did not score points for Epping, so technically that should, and nobody was there substituting for him, that should remove him from it. The other question mark would be Racing Wright, who did have perfect attendance, but did have an accident on his first qualifying run at Joliet. So technically, they only had 2 qualifying sessions there. He did run and turn in a tech card and make 1 qualifying attempt, although it was a disqualification because of the accident. So does that get thrown out? Does it count towards his full event total? There's a little bit of question mark there. There's a lot of gray area without a lot of clarity. So does it need a countdown? I don't think it needs a countdown. Will it make it more entertaining? No. But also at the same time, towards the end of the season, kind of the Pro Mod car counts kind of dwindle away anyway. So I can see that this is probably a reason to try and give them or an incentive or a reason to show up. But when you've got 14 or 15 guys in it, I mean, what's the difference? And just for an example, let me open. When we lost power here just before the show came on, obviously the computer had to restart and everything. So this was the first race for Jason Scruggs, 24th driver to earn points. He ended up sweeping the weekend. He's leaving here 17th in points. So there's only 24 drivers that have taken points or earned points this season in the Pro Mod races that we've had, and 15 of them, possibly 16, possibly 14, are going to be racing for the championship. So what is the point? Is my point.
And my perspective is I know it's for entertainment, but with any professional series, whether it's basketball, football, baseball, when you have a postseason, the regular season is always a marathon, not a sprint. It's built up over months and months and months. And I know the Pro Mod category is built up over months and months and months, but it's only 6 races, as opposed to the Camping World Series where it's 16 races, 15, 16 races. I feel like if you're going to have a postseason, the regular season needs to be a marathon, not a sprint. When you have a 10-race schedule like Pro Mod does, where it's just 10 races, a 10-race sprint for the championship, I think it should just be straight up, no countdown needed. So that's just where I come from.
Well, and you're only running, so like you say, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, so 6 races to set the field, and then 4 races to determine a champion. But again, you're throwing in Norwalk, the last race of the full season, and Las Vegas, the last race of the postseason. You're throwing in the points and a half, so you can make somebody available to get a big swing at that point as well. And I think that the hardest part is if you're trying to build the excitement and push the excitement, you have to be more you have to put it out there. I mean, yes, they put out the article before Norwalk, but at no point in time at any point in time during the event were they saying, hey, this is, they mentioned multiple times it's the last race of the regular season, but no mention of who's making it, what has to happen, why the matchup between these 2 drivers is important, because if such and such loses, or we are down to 2 qualifying sessions since Friday got washed out and J.R. Gray did not qualify, but he's still going to make it because he's still, he didn't qualify at Joliet or here, and he's still going to make the countdown or the road to the championship, they call it in Pro Mod. Then, you don't put the information out there, you don't build it up. Just like how Pro Mod does their qualifying session points, they do it based on an average for the bonus points for the qualifying, as opposed to just top 4 low ETs of the round or top 3 of the round. But they never release that information. They never tell you what they're doing. But it's no different than in factory stock when they're always talking about a bump spot, and factory stock's an all-run field. And they're like, oh, so-and-so's getting bumped out. He might not run the race. And it's like, no, everybody races. Why? I don't understand how you, as the sanctioning body that is putting on the race, don't understand the rules of the race or don't educate the fans of the rules of the race. Because I sit here and try and figure it out to the best of my ability with all information that's available, and I still can't figure out half the stuff. So imagine just Joe Fan in the stands being confused as all get out, going, okay, you're telling me it's the last race. What is the meaning of it? What is the extra importance on this? Who is going to make it? Who isn't? What's the monster matchup? What is the ramifications of this driver not qualifying or this driver losing early?
Yeah, and Drag Racing Central had another great comment. If I get my mouse to work, give me 1 second. He says, the thing is, Pro Mod guys wanted this format. They wanted to be treated like the pros. And I just feel like for a guy like Justin Bond, who won all those races at the beginning of the season, and then to have like his points lead kind of go away, and then you only get 4 races to fight for a championship. I just think, it's like, I don't know. I would have liked them more of just a 10 race straight up sprint for the championship, all at it, no countdown. That's what I would like to see. And now if you had a longer season where you had 20 some odd races and you had a longer regular season, longer countdown, I would like it. But for Pro Mod, I don't dislike it. I just don't think it was needed. In this situation, I don't think it was needed.
Well, and so the 5-point increment. So Justin Bond is the regular season champion. He could have been beaten by Chris Thorne had Chris went on, I believe, just to the final round. He would have beat him by 2 points to take over the top spot, but he lost in the semis. So he will start second. So Justin Bond will reset for the countdown at 800 points. There will be a 20-point gap to second. So he gets a 20-point lead over Chris Thorne. And then from Chris Thorne to 14th place, Khaled Al-Belushi, it's a 5-point increment. So it's 780 all the way down to 720. So really, 14 drivers are within 80 points, basically, with 4 races. So, just reset them to 0 at that point. What is 80 points going to make? And especially with the last race being points and a half, like you say, the window is too small. It's kind of like how they learned with the first year of the countdown in 2007 with the multiple resets, and how they had the countdown to 8, the countdown to 4, and then the countdown to 1. The more you kept narrowing it down, the chances of a blowout were much more prevalent.
You are definitely right about that. And I'll tell you what, it's going to be interesting to see how this first ever Road to the Championship plays out in Pro Mod. Thank you, everybody, for tuning into this special edition of Inside the NHRA, streaming live on American Hot Rod Entertainment and Competition Plus. Unfortunately, the Monday Morning Racer will not be joining us here tonight. He is in the middle of nowhere, does not have connection. So Lee Craft, we will not see him here tonight. But you can see him Tuesday night on the Competition Plus Power Hour, along with myself. Wonder who we're going to have on that show. But Nitro Funny Cars in the books. Pro Stocks in the books. Pro Stock Motorcycles in the books. As Dave W. watches the Cup race from Nashville.
and here's the thunder rolling in. So round 2 of the severe thunderstorms are heading our way. So we got to wrap it up with Top
We got to get this in.
Fuel Eliminator.
One more time, Dave. What is it?
Top Fuel Eliminator.
It's funny. You think about the parallels with Matt Hartford. So the only difference between these two drivers, Matt Hartford got his 6th career win. Leah Pruitt gets her 11th career win in Top Fuel. But it's Leah Pruitt's first win of the season, just like Matt Hartford. It's Leah Pruitt's first win since Denver in 2022. And they both win from the number 1 qualifying position. How about that, Dave?
Yeah, pretty epic. And congrats to Leah, back-to-back number 1 qualifying efforts. First time since Epping and Denver back in 2018. Last race, she broke her tie with Shirley Muldowney. This race, she ties Brandon Bernstein 20th all time with her 15th number 1 qualifying position. So some pretty good company there and working her way up the list. But yeah, that Tony Stewart Racing Nitro Dragster part of the team is finally starting to come alive. The funny car just hit the ground running. It's taken the dragster a little bit longer, but look out, they're hitting their stride.
And I tell you what, Blake Alexander spoiled the double up in Norwalk here today. If Matt Hagan could have got around Blake Alexander in the final round, we would have seen a first ever Nitro Tony Stewart Racing double up. We've seen a double up with Tony Stewart and, well, it's not technically Tony Stewart Racing, but Tony Stewart double up with Matt Hagan in Las Vegas. And you mentioned it's taken a while for the dragster to hit its stride. Well, let's look at this graphic right here. Leah Pruitt's 2022 season and 2023 season through the first 9 races. So you go back to last year through the first 9 races. Thank you. I appreciate that.
I really like that graphic. That's like alien Leah with her green glow. That's good.
It's like Super Saiyan Leah. You remember Super Saiyans? Yeah, it's like Super Saiyan. 0 wins, 0 finals, no number 1 qualifying qualifiers. 3-8 round record, was 12th in points up to this point last season. This year, she has 1 win, which obviously came today in Norwalk. 1 runner-up finish, which came at the Charlotte 4-wide. 2 number 1 qualifiers, like you just said, Dave, back-to-back. A 13-8 round record, and she has 30 points. 10 more round wins this year than she had last year. That's amazing.
Oh, it is. It is for sure. And especially considering how, I guess you'd say, how much parity was in Top Fuel last year and how we were talking about possibly the winner streak, everybody else. And this year we're talking about Justin Ashley just has to make it past round 1 and he doesn't lose. And Leah's going out there and, again, quietly putting the season together, quietly moving herself up in points. Now she's actually going race wins, but the big thing is the additional round wins. That to me is the biggest statistic that the countdown kind of takes away from awarding, but consistency has always been what you've built your season on and what you built your championship run on. You don't lose early. You keep going rounds. You keep putting points in your pocket. And if you're there eventually at the end, that's more data for you. That's more opportunities for the competition to make a mistake, more opportunities for the competition to smoke the tires, like we saw here today in the final round, more opportunity for the competition to red light, as we saw in the first round. So you just got to be there and put yourself out there. And I think that they are. And like you say, both her and Matt going back to obviously a track that they have the setup for, coming off being defending champions at Denver, and that's where they're going next. Maybe they can keep the momentum going. And not to mention they're in the Too Fast, Too Tasty challenge, of course, that we have not really looked at or talked about for Denver, but potentially some countdown bonus points to put in your pocket too.
For sure. And shout out to Neil Strasbaugh, the crew chief on Leah Pruitt's top field dragster. Neil Strasbaugh has been in this game for a long time, was with the New York Yankees car with Darryl Gwynn back in the day with Mike Green, and Andrew Cowan back in 2002, has been with Corey Mack, has been with Tony Schumacher, has been with a lot of great teams. Great to see him be the lead crew chief here on this Leah Pruitt top field dragster for Tony Stewart Racing. And like I said, really struggled last year, but getting it together here this year. And really cool dude that Neil Strasbaugh is. Well, I talked to him quite extensively in Las Vegas, and he's a really cool guy. So great to see Neil Strasbaugh having some success with Leah Pruitt in top fuel eliminator. Let's now take a look at Leah Pruitt's highlights of her day in Norwalk. First round taking on Kyle Wurzel. Love this Lucas Oil helicopter cam. Kyle Wurzel, he red lights Leah Pruitt right down the boulevard. 405 with a 6. Had a little trouble top end, 219 miles per hour. But Leah Pruitt moves in round number 2. Then we move in the second round. It's Mike Salinas taking on Leah Pruitt. And how about this? This is a great drag race right here. Leah's going to win it. She outperforms him by 1,000th on the racetrack, 3.741 to Mike Salinas, 3.742. Leah Pruitt just edges out Mike Salinas to move to the final 4. Then it's Austin Prock, and it's Leah Pruitt. Austin Prock smokes the tires. Leah Pruitt, 377, 331. Leah Pruitt into another final round. On the other side of the ladder, she's going to take on the hottest driver in Top Fuel Eliminator today. Dave, did you want to say something real quick?
No, go for it.
Okay. Hottest driver in Top Fuel Eliminator here, in 2023, Justin Ashley. I'll tell you what, coming off another Mission Foods Challenge win, first round taking on the beautiful paint scheme of Clay Milliken, that Summit paint scheme. Clay Milliken smokes the tires. And how about it? Justin Ashley, he gets the win. 371 with the 5, 329. Clay Milliken is out. Then it's the 4-time King World Top Fuel Champion of the World, Steve Torrance, and it's Justin Ashley. Justin Ashley has Steve Torrance's number, and that stays the same right here on a whole shot. Justin Ashley, 372 to Steve Torrance's 370. Justin Ashley, he's in the semifinals. And it's the champion of the world, Brittany Force, Monster Energy. And here we got it. Justin Ashley outperforms Brittany Force on the racetrack, 371-1 to Brittany Force's 371-3. Justin Ashley, Leah Pruitt, final round, Top Fuel, Norwalk. Let's take a look at that final round right now.
Leah left, Justin right. It's been a long weekend. One more win light. Leah Pruitt's taking home an ice cream scoop. Justin Ashley got in trouble out there about 400 feet. For the first time this year, he's been slowed down late in the day. Leah goes 376, 326 miles an hour, and she is in the winner's circle. Tony Stewart Racing this year has won in alcohol dragster. They've won in funny car, and now they've won in Top Fuel.
And there's the medal from the Summit Nationals around our first-time winner this season in Top Fuel, Leah Pruitt. There's that Wally and the ice cream scoop from Bill Bader.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Leah, you told us this morning that the winning starts today, and you did just that. You used the phrase digging deep. How much of that was on display today?
I would say every single round for this Mopar Direct Connection team. I mean, so deep that we found ourselves in a hole that we had to create our own ladder to get out of. But for Dodge, you know, clear, we're by Detroit, Mobile One, Renai, Dayco, Johnson's Horsepower Garage, everybody. We've scooped up a win this year, super important. Justin and Ashley, want to give a huge shout out to them, keeping us on our toes. I was pretending actually like I was racing Proc again, and we went up there with confidence, and my team gave me a great race car to win with today. And sorry Matt couldn't make it to the final, but hey, that's what they make more races for. I mean, win the final. But thanks everybody, and can't wait to race at Bandamere.
That was a heck of an interview. She said, Dave, she said we had a ladder to climb out of the hole that we dug ourselves in. What exactly did she say? That was a great line. I have to go back and see exactly what she said. That was a heck of a line. I like that.
Yeah, it was. And then, but you know what? Your graphic proved it. I mean, you saw what their 2022 season looked like versus where they're at now. And I don't think they're done climbing yet. That ladder's going up the side of the mountain.
And her opponent in the final round, Justin Ashley, first final round loss of the season. He was perfect in final round so far this season. And like you said, if he gets out of first round, he's going on to win the race. Another great performance for him and his team. But we got to talk about the Mission Foods Too Fast, Too Tasty Challenge. Won another one on Saturday. That is now 12 bonus points, 12 championship bonus points in his back pocket so far. We don't know how many more he's going to rack up before the end of the regular season. Not to mention the ones where he might lose in the final round or lose in the semis of the Mission Foods Challenge. So we can see a scenario where he picks up a full round of points going into the countdown. We should call this the Justin Ashley benefit at this point.
Well, let me see here. I was just tracking that earlier. So every time he's been in the Mission Foods Challenge, he's won. He is not. So he's got the 3 points every time. He's got the full ride. We'll see what happens going into Denver. I mean, it'd be, so let's see, we're at 12. We only got to get a couple more of them that he's got to win. And he's got 20 points. Like you say, he's a full round up going in. And that would be pretty interesting. That would basically show what this Too Fast, Too Tasty challenge is all about and what its benefits and bonuses are.
Mm-hmm. And I'll tell you what, it's like you mentioned, 12 bonus points in his back pocket. For the guys who are going to enter the countdown at the bottom, I mean, that's going to spell worse for even them. Because what, you talk about guys in 9th, 10th, and 11th, they're going to be, over 100 points out. You tackle on the Mission Foods Challenge that Justin Ashley is building up, saying he goes into the countdown as a points leader. They're going to be even that much more in a hole once the countdown starts. So if you're back there in 10th, 11th, 12th, however many drivers qualify for the countdown, they're going to be in serious trouble once the countdown starts.
Well, and, to further, like you say, do we call it the Justin Ashley benefit race? Doug Coletta won the first run because he wasn't in it. And the only other one that he was not in was in Epping, and it got rained out and canceled. So all they did was split the money and awarded no points. So of the ones that they've had, he's won all but one. So it'll be interesting to see how it goes into Denver. But the team is on fire. And even when the team isn't there, Justin is. And I got to say, it was very evident with that starting line camera that they used at Norwalk, the angle that they did, the way that he jumped on every opponent. You could tell that car moved first. And the lights, 041 in the first round, 039 in the second round, 038 in the semis, 043 in the final. And he left first on every single opponent that he competed against today. And he's right there. I mean, within a 5,000th window right in that time. So, I mean, he's consistent, and the car maybe stepped a little bit over the line in the tune-up in the finals. But, that team is definitely a contender.
I'll tell you what, first round in the Epping makeup in Bristol, that Friday night first round, when he went 038 against Dan Mercier, I'm like, oh man, it's gonna be a long weekend for the competition. and it was, because he won everything, tripled up, won the Epping makeup, won Bristol, won the Mission Foods Challenge, so, and comes back with another great performance here in Norwalk. I mean, right now, Justin Ashley is the class of the field in Top Fuel Eliminator. Like I said, one guy's number he has had for quite a while now is the four-time Camping World Top Fuel Champion of the World, Steve Torrence. When is Steve Torrence and Brittany Force, pretty much the top two dragsters the past couple years, they're winless so far here in 2023. When are they going to break through, man?
Hard to say, isn't it? I'll tell you what, man, and that was the other one too when as the rain comes pouring down, when Justin left on Steve and then ends up beating him on a hole shot. Like, that's got to be just – that's just got to – I can't imagine what Steve's reaction was at the top end of that one when he saw that time slip, knowing that he's got the car back and he lost Justin on a hole shot. And he's got to be going, man, what do I got to do? So it's going to make Denver interesting. And I mean, same thing with Brittany. I hate to say that, she had a car that couldn't win because she had an 059 light. She was there. She's not far off the game. As a matter of fact, she had third best light of the semis, and the light that she had and the run that she had would have beat any other car in just about any other round for the rest of the event.
Yeah.
She just happened to be up against Justin at that time, who matched her performance and beat her on the Christmas tree by 100th.
Mm-hmm. There you go. And let's now take a look at the top field standings as we head into the Western Swing. Justin Ashley with almost an 100-point lead, 97 markers over Steve Torrance. Leah Pruitt jumps up to third in points. She was 6 coming in. Brittany Forrest fourth. Austin Prock fifth. Antron Brown is 6th. Mike Salinas 7th. Josh Hart 8th. Doug Coletta 9th. And Shaw Langdon rounds out the top 10 with Tony Schumacher in 11th.
This is what I find interesting when I look at these points. And if you want to leave them up there, and I'll ask you the question to see if you find it interesting too. We looked at the pro stock points and we saw how far out Dallas Glenn was on the field, right?
Mm-hmm.
We know what kind of season Justin Ashley's been putting together. And we keep saying, man, what's going on with Brittany? What's going on with Steve? Where'd Leah come from? Austin Prock quietly having a good season. All of those drivers are closer to Justin Ashley than second place is to Dallas Glenn in pro stock.
Well,
and you've seen what kind of season Justin's had. So, I mean, these guys aren't really that far off. They're just, they're not racking up Wallies, but they are racking up round wins.
Well, I think that's a simple answer right there. It's the feast or famine for Justin Ashley at the beginning of the season. Like Alan mentioned, like you mentioned, it was either first round or win for Justin Ashley through the first couple races of the season. And so it was
and he didn't count the 4 wides. So he threw the 4 wides out of that statistic, which I think is terrible because they are a race and they pay points. So you can't really throw them out statistically.
Mm. Yeah, but I mean, and that's been a story for Justin. Even going back to last year, they'll win a race and they'll go out first round the next race, and they'll win a race or go out first round the next race. It's good to see them having that consistency now, where it's like they can back up that performance coming off a win, and that's what we're seeing here in 2023. So I think the biggest thing for Justin Ashley and that team is just to stay consistent and keep doing what they're doing. And like I said, they're the class of the field right now in top field moving forward. Also, want to give a shout out, like you said, Austin Prock having a quietly solid season so far. I think he's actually having a little bit of kind of a more, even though it's quiet, it's a little more noisier than Brittany Force has so far here this season. And
well,
like
yeah,
said,
he does. I mean, he did win, so
yeah, yeah, that is true. Yeah, and then Dan Mercier, got to give a shout out to him for taking out Doug Coletta in the first round of a competition. So shout out to that team. It's always cool when the smaller teams can come out and whoop up on the big dogs.
Definitely shout out to Dan Mercier. Shout out to the top fuel class in general. 20 cars showed up. This particular 382.2 bump spot ties the 8th quickest field in top fuel history, which the other one with that one was Madison, St. Louis last fall. But 8th quickest field all time. They were putting together runs, and that's what I say. I wish they would have got all 4 runs in. There was always a potential for a little bit more, a little bit quicker at that point. But I mean, everybody in the class has really stepped up, it seems, and there's no easy round.
Mm-hmm.
And just to qualify at an event like this means something. And they've said so much. The drivers were saying the same thing even in qualifying. But you look at some of these guys that Antron Brown, first round loss. Doug Coletta, first round loss. Clay Milliken, first round loss. Tony Schumacher, Sean Langdon, Spencer Massey. These guys are out first round. And I mean, that it just boggles the mind to see names like that have such early round losses. And any one of them could very easily be an event winner.
Drag Racing Central says, man, it's not a good time to be a Tony Schumacher fan.
No, this is definitely a far cry from the Army days.
Definitely is. And he also asks, what was Justin Ashley's round win streak? So I believe it had to be 11, correct? If we're talking about Epping, Bristol, and in here, that would be 11 straight round wins before the final round loss here today.
Well, let's find out. Justin Ashley, where are you at, buddy?
He says we need Mike Green back.
So, yes, they lost first round in Joliet. So we had 4 round wins at Epping, another 4 at Bristol. That put them at 8, 9, 10, 11.
11 round wins
today. Unless you are counting the Mission Foods challenges as elimination rounds, which, how could you at this particular point? Because obviously the Epping one's doubled as the Mission Food Challenge. So if you really do, those are kind of like technically double round wins. And then the 2 that he had for the Bristol event here would be another 4. So 15, I guess, technically, because he turned on those win lights too. Or they counted for that specifically.
So, Dave, you got the storm rolling in on your end. My contacts are messing up my eyes on this end. Any final thoughts on Top Field before we move on? Anybody else want to kind of go over before we put a capper on the kings of the sport?
I think we pretty much talked it over. I think we got them all. You did mention Clay Milliken with his first round loss was a shock. That Summit car, that it was a beautiful paint scheme, like you had mentioned.
It was, wasn't it? That was a nice looking paint scheme.
It was nice to see Brittany Force tie the track record and set another top speed of the meet, because I was getting concerned after Justin took it back last race. She wasn't doing too good this one. And then comes out round 2 with that 3:33.58 and picks up her 8th top speed of the meet out of 9 events this year, which is another one that we're chasing history. We'll see how many she can get by the time it's all said and done. Shout out to Brittany also. First round. Did you see your light?
Let me see. Brittany Force, 0:21 reaction time.
0:21. Now, I'm not completely done. I'm almost done, but I'm not completely done, so I can't say for certain. But that is the second best reaction time of her Top Fuel career.
Wow. Wow. Really?
And if it's not second, it's going to be at least top 5, because I'm not done. There's a couple of rounds that I'm still missing that I got to fill out. Her best was, I would say, a guess. She had a 002 light at St. Louis a couple years ago.
Wow.
It'd be hard to beat that one. But yeah, so Brittany, shout out to you. She was ready first round. Good job. And now, if she can just do that every round, would be all right.
Leaving on a lever like Sean Langdon too, who was 0:54. So I mean, that goes to show you're doing your job first round.
Oh yeah. And then also interesting tidbit of news. I don't know if you saw when you were watching the show or watching NHRA TV when Mike Salinas came up and they were talking to the team. They mentioned that Troy Fashing was kind of hanging around with the team this weekend as well, and kind of hinted at or was breaking the news that you're going to be a 2-car team next year. It's no secret that Jasmine's been doing her Top Fuel licensing, still probably going to round out the year in her Top Alcohol Dragster, but starting in 2024, could be a father-daughter team out there. And interesting that they have Troy around there in the pits, because he could be crew chief on car number 2.
And Troy Fashing, who used to be with Coletta Motorsports, correct? Back in the day? Yes, sir.
Along with Rob Flynn.
Yep. So they know what they're doing. Man, that's cool. We need some nice younger, fresh faces in the Nitro category. So I like it to add with Austin Prock and Justin Ashley. I dig it.
Oh yeah.
I like it.
Ryan Blaney just got destroyed in the NASCAR race too. By the way, if you're a Ryan Blaney fan, you may not want to tune in.
But in the end, Leah Pruitt gets the win in Top Fuel Eliminator. First win of the season. First win since the Mile High Nationals last year in 2022. And I guess we're kind of going out to their not home racetrack, but Mopar, a big deal up there on the mountain. 11th career win for Leah Pruitt as she gets the win here at the 2023 Summit Racing Equipment NHRA Nationals. Everybody, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to wrap up the show. If I can get my mouse to work.
You don't need that mouse.
It ain't working.
If you own a beautiful modern muscle car like this 1320 Challenger, I'm sure you don't want it stolen. Because the Challenger and many other modern vehicles have an easily accessible neutral release strap. That was your coin holder in your center console, and beneath that there's this red cord that someone can pop, put it into neutral, and potentially easily steal your car. But at Destroyer1320.com, they have the TDS, Theft Deterrent System, which is a cover over that strap using factory mounting points so that you don't get popped by a thief. So make sure to go to Destroyer1320.com using promo code MMR for 15% off and get your Theft Deterrent System, TDS, and steal the thieves' hope.
In the race for quality, there is no finish line. Jerry Bickle Race Cars is a one-stop chassis shop for drag racing performance parts and race components. For over 50 years, Jerry Bickle Race Cars has been an essential part of racers' plans for building world champion race cars. Our parts department is stocked with every part a racer might need. Log on to jerrybickle.com for more information. We build anything with doors. jerrybickle.com.
I think it's hilarious. I didn't know there was a Jerry Bickle commercial when I'm wearing my Quartermax t-shirt here for Rich Jones. So there you go. You can choose whatever you want.
Well, the good thing is it's kind of cut off though, so you can't really read it like that.
You can't really see it.
So, Dave, what's up?
Interesting. Oh man, it was right into the concrete. No safer barrier on that wall. One of the stats that I wanted to, or just a question, I mean, it's going to be an obvious answer when we were going through the sportsman cars. List the names here. See what they have in common. Ashley Force, Ashley Sanford, Bill Reichert, Blaine Johnson, Brandon Bernstein, Joe Amato, Chase Copeland, Chris Dempke, Cruz Pedregon, Daryl Gwynn, Daryl Russell, Dave Harada, David Baca, Jay Meyer. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. Julian Atas, Josh Hart, Madison Payne,
Natus,
Megan McKernan, Megan Meyer, Mike Coughlin, Rachel Meyer, Randy Meyer, Rich McPhillips Sr. and Jr., Rick Sanos, Rick Hinkleman, Sean Cowie, Sean Langdon, Spencer Massey, Steve Torrance, Tony Bartone, Troy Coughlin Jr., and Tony Stewart all have in common.
Top alcohol dragster.
Number one qualifier and top alcohol dragster. Tony Stewart picked up his first career number one qualifying position here this weekend. And that's just a partial list. There is quite a bit more that are still on it, but we don't have time to go through them all. But definitely impressive names, impressive list of names, some of which who have obviously had a lot of nitro success in other categories. Some of which have been alcohol standouts throughout the years. And Tony Stewart has added his name to that list this weekend.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. And so it's kind of crazy to think, you know, the reason why I actually was NASCAR on NBC is because when it gets down to this time of year, you know that the chase is right around the corner. And we just passed Norwalk. The Western Swing is just a few weeks away. That means the countdown is right around the corner. So basically, you know, we start this season, in March? It's almost championship time now as we head on down the ladder here in 2023. Can you believe we got here so fast? I mean, it's like just flew by.
Well, I'll tell you one thing that is different is it seems like we've had a lot less of events than what I'm used to. I guess I remember probably about 10, 12 years ago or so, some of the dominant championship seasons that we've had, particularly like Alan Johnson in Pro Stock, Mike Edwards in Pro Stock. Some of these guys, by the time we were getting to Norwalk, we were already talking about countdown clinched. Mm-hmm. By the time we got to Norwalk, Denver, and through the Western Swing, some of these guys were already punching their ticket to the countdown. But that was back. I know we don't have Houston, Atlanta, Englishtown. Topeka used to be in that part of the year. A lot of early season races. I mean, this year we went almost all the way through May with only one event. Obviously didn't race in February at all. So a little bit less, but yeah, we're going to be starting to talk about, I would think by the time we get through the Western Swing, who's already locked in and who's going to be ready for fighting for this championship.
Yeah, like 6 races left to the countdown, 5 more till Indy. Hey, it's go time. You talk about when you get to the Western Swing, it's like, hey, it's starting to, get your stuff ready because it's about to, this final little run until we run for a championship. So I'm excited, man. I can't wait.
Yeah, and I mean the sad part is again we kind of talk about the everybody gets in situation kind of takes a little bit of luster out of it, especially in Top Fuel. You know that there's going to be 12 guys that are in it unless Tony Schumacher, Clay Millican, Sean Langdon, some of the guys towards the back missed an event that they just don't attend, and that would hurt their attendance record. But you're going to have those 12 guys in it. I don't really think at this point you're basically going from Sean Langdon at 398 points in 10th. We're going to Dan Mercier with 149 points in 13th. He ain't making up that gap over Sean Langdon. Spencer Massey, Doug Foley, those guys, they're not going to make the countdown. Blake Alexander in 11th has a chance. Cruz Pedregon, J.R. Todd towards the bottom of it. Alex Laughlin is in it for the full haul. Terry Haddock is not going to overcome it. Same with Bobby Bodie. So that's kind of a shame in that class. Pro stock, I feel like, what do we got? We got a full field of 16, right? They've been in all the races, I think, haven't they?
Jeez. It is like 16 drivers that are qualified right now, right? That technically
I would think so. Yeah, the Quadras have been to every event. They've at least attempted to qualify at every event. The McGay Hayes. Shane Tucker, I don't think has been to every race. And he would be only one that would be, he's 17th in points. He would have to point his way in. He's 200 points back. He ain't making that up in the next 4 races or 5 races that they have. So, we're talking about championship time and countdown time, but the countdown clinch and countdown critical races are not really critical anymore. So I implore and plead and beg with NHRA, please get rid of the participation trophy. Please pick a number and stick to it. 8, 10, 12, whatever you want, pick it and stick to it. Nobody else. That's it. There's a definitive cutoff line. You perform or you don't.
I technically think, like, you can have the top 10 on stage at the banquet, but I think it should be top 8.
8 would be a good number because that's at least a challenge, because a lot of times there's not really a battle around the 10th place spot too. But if you do 8, hey, you know what? After round 1, there's only 8 people left standing. You better start winning some rounds to make it in that top 8.
Who cares about sponsors and all this stuff? If you don't make it in, you don't make it in. I think it's as simple as that.
Right, because it's not like, that was the whole big thing of it is, oh, you're in the countdown. You're going to get more TV time. You're going to get more air time. We're going to focus on you. We're going to focus on your sponsor. That hasn't happened. I don't think that, the DHL team in Top Fuel is going to really care if they're on. If they're a first round loser, whether they're in the countdown or not, you ain't going to be on TV. You know what I mean? So that's just my thought. That's just my opinions on it. I wish you'd stick with a number. I think 8's a good number. I agree with you, because after the first round, we only have 8 cars left. So I know, like you said, top 10 for the banquet. It's always been top 10 in points. Top 10 got paid. That was a number for a long time. But then you could still pay them. But at least if you go top 8, you give everybody an incentive to race, to be in the countdown. And then you give everybody else that don't make the countdown an incentive to get those last 2 spots to be in the banquet.
Well, let's take a look at it. So I know we're running a little overtime, but let's take a look at the points. And again, I can't get this dang mouse to work, so we'll wrap it up in just a little bit. But let's take a look at like the nitro classes, for instance. You take a look at the top 8 right now: Doug Coletta, Sean Langdon, Tony Schumacher, and obviously this thing is in the way, so I can't see who's in 12th. But just think about that battle. You have 3 world champions trying to fight their way in.
Right, and you have 12th place is Clay Millican, who is only 16 behind Tony Schumacher, and then 13th is Dan Mercier, who is 250 points back. So really, you got 12 guys. But if you got 12 guys fighting for 8 spots, it's way more entertaining than 12 guys fighting for 12 spots.
Exactly.
Or, you know what I mean? That's like, to think of these races, like, look how entertaining Top Fuel was this weekend, because you got 20 cars and only 16 qualify. There's an importance behind it, and yeah, that would be a heck of a battle. And that would expose, like, hey, you know what? These guys who have been squeaking it through at the end of the year, typical back of the pack racers, why do we keep rewarding them? And I hate to say it that way, but that's where those guys fall. That's where they end up. And, I'm not saying that they're not out there trying, but some of it could just be a little bit status quo, ho-hum, whatever. I lose first round and I'm going to be in the countdown anyway. So I like your number of 8, but I wish that they would just stick to it. Just pick 8 and that's it. That's what we're racing for. And at that point, you might as well get away with the points and a half stuff.
Yeah, I definitely do agree with that. Good conversation, Dave. Good conversation. Well, everybody, really do appreciate you guys tuning in to another special edition of Inside the NHRA, streaming live on American Hot Rod Entertainment. Competition Plus and the Dave W YouTube channels. We're also streaming live on Facebook. If you guys haven't already, make sure to like this show, share this show. Let's get the algorithm up. Let everybody know we were breaking down and going in depth of the 2023 Summit Racing Equipment NHRA Nationals from America's Racetrack, Summit Motorsports Park. I'm Darren Williams Jr. along with Dave W. And congratulations to all of our winners in the Camping World Series from Norwalk. Congratulations to Hector Ronda Jr. in Pro Stock Motorcycle, to Matt Harford in Pro Stock Car. Congratulations to Leah Pruitt in Top Fuel Eliminator. And finally, in Nitro Funny Car, to Blake Alexander. Thank you guys all for tuning in once again. We'll see you guys in a few weeks at the Mile High Nationals, Thunder Mountain, the final ever Mile High Nationals from Vandermeer Speedway. Oh, hold on. Before we leave, Corn Pop says, just got home from Norwalk. How cool is that? Hope you had a great time. Hope you had a great time. That's awesome. Sir. I like his profile picture too. It's nice.
I like it. Yeah, the avatar is great.
It's nice. Good night, everybody.
Good night.